What's going on, everybody? Jolt here from TheTokenMinorities, and I'm here with NPL Season 6, Week 6 against the Florida Feraligatrs, coached by my boy TopTierBoy. Definitely check out his channel. It will be linked in the description below. Now, let's talk a little bit about where we are right now. So we have a 2-3 record right now, which is less than ideal for sure. We do have 2 losses against teams that, quite frankly, my matchup was not exactly great against, and we have 1 loss against a player who is better than I am in Matty Brawlix. So the losses we have so far are not devastating by any means, but we definitely do not want to fall into a 2-4 hole. That said, we have another pretty poor matchup this week against the Florida Feraligatrs, which I will talk about a little bit here soon. That said, I definitely have ways to win this game. It's by no means an unwinnable matchup. It basically will come down to me being able to outsmart him in prep and try to trick him a little bit. As TopTierBoy, my opponent, a very, very, very good battler. He's a little less experienced in the format than I am, so I do want to try to take advantage of that with some sets that he might not really expect. So that's kind of the game plan here going in. Let's take a look at the matchup itself. So his team is Tapu Fini, Mega Scizor, Tyranitar, Raikou, Gliscor, Amoonguss, Zygarde, Zygarde 10% that is, Volcarona, Stoutland, Slowbro, and Magnezone. So as you can see, he's basically got an OU squad, which is a little bit frustrating, but the main thing that really is annoying for my team, there's a couple things that are really annoying for my team. So first of all, that Regenerator Corpse, Slowbro, Amoonguss actually is fantastic against my team, especially supported by Pursuit Trapping Tyranitar, as the only thing on my team that beats both Amoonguss and Slowbro is a Calm Mind Latias, and obviously the high likelihood of a Tyranitar coming definitely slows down any Calm Mind Latias, regardless of if I even have HP fighting. It still can take me out with a combination of an Adamant Crunch plus Sandstorm damage. So that's a little bit unfortunate there for sure. So that combination is pretty annoying here, but in addition to that, the Tapu Fini is a huge threat to my team because even its offensive prowess is a problem here, with Water and Fairy covering my entire team. And with the exception of, I guess, the Ferrothorn, which he can easily just run HP Fire for. So Tapu Fini is a huge issue for my team, and it can easily run the likes of Nature's Madness as well to just break down whatever my dedicated response is. So offensively, Tapu Fini is a threat, but even defensively, it's really annoying because otherwise, if he didn't have Tapu Fini, Azumarill would be, with a Belly Drum set, would be very, very good against him. And as a result, I strongly considered bringing Belly Drum in this game, but opted against it because of really being incredibly likely that he's going to run a Haze Tapu Fini. Like, really, there's no reason not to in this matchup, in my opinion, because that also helps deal with Calm Mind Latias as well as a potential Nasty Plot or Calm Mind Mismagius. And even bulk up Talonflame to an extent as well. So Haze Tapu Fini makes a lot of sense against me, and the Mega Scizor is also pretty annoying, as the only thing on my team that deals with Mega Scizor really well would be the Talonflame, and to an extent the Mandibuzz if I were Rocky Helmet Foul Play. But even so, Mega Scizor is a very, very big threat against my team. That said, I'm actually going to use that Mega Scizor to my advantage and use it as my setup bait, as if I'm going to win this game, it's going to be because of Talonflame, because nothing else on my team can just break through him on its own, especially if he brings the likes of something with an Assault Vest, like an Assault Vest Amoonguss or Assault Vest Slowbro, both of which could wall the best Nidoking sets against his team. Leaving me essentially with no real great offensive options, as I really would like to bring something like maybe Metagross, but he does have the likes of Mega Scizor and Slowbro, which are the 2 Smogon counters to Metagross, Mega Metagross even, so that's not exactly ideal there for sure. And I could take a more defensive approach in this game. That said, he has the Zygarde Dog, which actually decimates my team with 1,000 arrows, which is kind of unfortunate. It makes me kind of wish I still had the Whimsicott. Then again, I don't really think Whimsicott would have been the best Pokemon in this matchup when he does have the likes of the Mega Scizor as well as the Amoonguss, both of which can just switch in for free against me. But I guess the silver lining in all this is that it's pretty obvious to me what his most likely mons are to come, and that does help my prep quite a bit. It really does, as I feel he only really has about 8 mons that even have a potential of coming, those being the Tapu Fini, the Mega Scizor, the Tyranitar, the Amoonguss, Zygarde 10%, Volcarona, and the Stoutland, and the Slowbro. Those are the ones that I think are most likely to come. I do not at all expect to see Raikou. I have so many good electric responses on my team. I don't expect to see Gliscor just because Megalop can easily run Ice Punch, and I do have a lot of ways to pressure Gliscor and really take advantage of it. And Magnezone, the only reason it would come is for Ferrothorn, but he really doesn't need to because he has a lot of ways to pressure Ferrothorn, and I believe that covers it. So yeah, he is 11 mons, 8 I think could come. Yeah. So, yeah, the matchup's kind of tricky for sure. Not unwinnable, but definitely tricky. But I think I built a pretty darn good team for this. So let's go ahead and take a look at that team now. So, my mouse is not working, so let's use the bad mouse. So, okay, so I'm starting off with Mega Lopunny on this team. Surprise, surprise. Running a pretty interesting set here. So the defense investment on this does allow me to survive a +2 max attack Bullet Punch from a Mega Scizor, which is very convenient, especially considering the fact that I do not believe the Lopunny will be taking really any hits whatsoever during this game until it's in against the Mega Scizor, or until it's essentially in cleaning phase late game. So I think this investment could really come in handy here, and the investment does allow me to outpace the Scarf Tyranitar. If he decides to run Jolly Scarf Tyranitar, this will outspeed that if he runs max speed, and then I can of course slap on the Adamant Nature to do a bunch of damage with that and really make up for the fact that I am sacrificing a little bit of offensive investment to be able to survive that +2 Bullet Punch. So the move set here is pretty standard with High Jump Kick return. On High Jump Kick, it really hits his entire team very hard. It doesn't OHKO too much, but it definitely has the potential to sweep late game if I can weaken him with the other mons on my team. But then we of course have the Healing Wish that you see, which will become a little bit of a trend with this team, as you'll see when I show the Latias as well, as this game really does come down to winning with the likes of my Azumarill and my Talonflame, as I really don't have too many win cons against him. I talked to many people trying to figure out how can I win against, how can I guaranteed win against this team. This draft, it has so many checks within itself to all of my potential setup sweepers. I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to win. The only real conclusion I could come to was, okay, I have to break him down with the Azumarill and win with Talonflame. I have to win with Talonflame. That's the only mon on my team that can sweep him. So that's what we're going to try to do, and that will be supported with 2 Healing Wish users, one being the Mega Lopunny, and the second being this Latias. So this set is otherwise terrible against him. Okay, outside of Defog and Healing Wish, Latias is terrible against him. But I needed a second Healing Wisher, and I needed a Defogger. I was not willing to bring Mandibuzz, despite the fact that it was my best switch into 1000 Arrows, as Mandibuzz is a free switch into Tapu Fini, which is just a free Nature's Madness or a free chunk of damage on something on my team, and that's not something I really wanted to let happen. In addition, I felt he really just had a lot of ways to take advantage of Mandibuzz, and I just didn't want to bring it, quite honestly. So I did bring the Latias. It's not great against him offensively because he does have the likes of Tapu Fini, Tyranitar, Mega Scizor. He has so many ways to deal with this, but I needed a Defogger, and this set actually, with this much defense investment, you notice 244 EVs in defense, this will actually allow me to always survive an Adamant Max Attack Crunch from full health from Tyranitar. So that could come in handy for sure when it comes to defogging, as well as firing off a Healing Wish or a Draco Meteor in the Tyranitar's face. So I feel this set is as effective as a Latias set can be against him. I'm not expecting it to get any kills, but I am expecting it to be able to switch into the Amoonguss with the safety goggles, as well as not take any damage from the sand thanks to the safety goggles, and just be able to maybe chip him away a little bit, help out the process of the Azumarill Talonflame sweep, but more than anything, just healing up the Latias, or healing up the Azumarill or the Talonflame, as those are the 2 mons that are super essential offensively for this matchup. That said, I also have a very good defensive win condition that I haven't talked about yet, but it will be a Ferrothorn that I'll discuss here more in a bit. But Healing Wish on the Mega Lopunny and the Latias definitely can help if my win condition becomes defensive in the game. So that is the set here. Not really a whole lot else to say. Next up is the Azumarill. This is essentially the initiator for the Talonflame sweep, as I need to get rid of items badly if I'm going to sweep a Talonflame, as Rocky Helmets come every week against me. I've come to expect it, and as long as I can knock off those Rocky Helmets, it helps out Lopunny for one, but it definitely helps out Talonflame, and I do kind of expect the likes of maybe a Rocky Helmet Slowbro, Rocky Helmets, or Rocky Helmet Amoonguss. Those are the most likely Rocky Helmet users. I do not expect Rocky Helmet Tapu Fini as leftovers. It's its only means of recovery, but even so, knocking off the leftovers on Tapu Fini is pretty darn good because that's his only means of recovery. So knockoff is essential this game. And then instead of running a setup move like Belly Drum, I opted for coverage on this with Aqua Jet, Play Rough, and Natural Gift, as I feel this is not going to sweep him, but I need to break him down so Talonflame can win, and I just felt this was overall the best set against him to do that, as this coverage does hit everything. Natural Gift with a Wapmo Berry is fire with base 100 power and a physical move, so it does OHKO all forms of Mega Scizor as well as do a lot of damage to Amoonguss. If he lets me weaken that with prior damage, maybe he brings more of a specially defensive Amoonguss to deal with my Nidoking. That will mean that Azumarill can take it out with a combination of a knockoff and a natural good fire, so kind of crossing my fingers for that one obviously, but even so, just doing a bunch of damage to the Amoonguss or OHKOing the Mega Scizor is really, really nice, and just ensures that Mega Scizor can't set up for free, which could potentially be an issue if my Talonflame is weakened due to Stealth Rocks, for example. But obviously Latias will be there to make sure Stealth Rocks are not on the field, as offensively I don't need Latias, I just need to make sure Rocks are not there, so that's its job. Healing Wish up my offensive threats and get rid of the Stealth Rocks. This will initiate a hopeful sweep with Talonflame, which is this. So this set's kind of cool. This defense investment does allow me to always survive a +2 Adamant Max Attack Bullet Punch from Mega Scizor after Stealth Rock, so that's from 50%. I can't take that hit, which is pretty nice. Now the thing on this, so for Talonflame, it generally is better to put your extra investment into HP, because that will mean you survive your own recoil longer, because you'll have more HP to take that recoil damage. So theoretically, HP is better on Talonflame. That said, it would essentially have required max HP investment and more defense investment on top of that to be able to achieve what I wanted to achieve, in that I would need essentially to sacrifice more attack power to be able to put that investment into HP. And that's not something I really could afford to do, as with 144 attack and Jolly, I actually am able to 2-hit KO or effectively OHKO a max HP Tyranitar, which is a little bit of prior damage on it, with a Bug Z boosted U-turn, and that I feel is essential, as I feel like his most likely check to T-Flame will be the Tyranitar. That makes the most sense, as the worst I can really do to it on average is Will-O-Wisp, or just get off a little bit of chip with U-turn. Bug Z U-turn does OHKO with a little bit of prior damage on max HP Tyranitar, and I don't think I'll have too much trouble getting that prior damage due to the fact that I have Latias. So I feel like that could be pretty effective, but the Bug Z U-turn at +2 also does 1,000,000 to Slowbro, which if he does bring max defense Slowbro, of course I need a little prior damage on that as well, but if he's like a max HP Assault Vest variant, which is very possible for my Nidoking, I do not need much prior damage at all to be able to take that out with the +2 Bug Z boosted U-turn. So overall, I think that's pretty good against him for sure, and essentially this is just going to be my win condition. Plain and simple, it's my offensive win con. If I'm going to win this game offensively, it's going to be with Talonflame, as nothing else on my team, my roster, my drafts, can do that. So it comes down to Talonflame. If I win the Hazard War, I'll be in a pretty good spot to do that. If I don't win the Hazard War, it's going to be a long game, but we're going to make sure that we win that Hazard War for sure. So SD, Brave Bird, Flare Blitz, set up the SD on the Mega Scizor and win the game. That's kind of the game plan here. That's definitely the game plan here. I'll support that with double Healing Wish. Now next up is the Nidoking. This is a pretty standard set. 252 speed with the Timid Nature. This is just to make sure I at least speed tie Tapu Fini if he decides to whatever reason run like a very offensive Tapu Fini, which is unlikely, but it is possible just because its offensive coverage is so good against me. So I felt justified in running Timid instead of Modest on this. Now I am running a mixed set with the Timid Nature, which is kind of weird, but Rock Slide still OHKOs and maxed HP Volcarona, which is the only reason why I have Rock Slide on this. So I felt it was worth it to still just run Timid, and then the combination of Earth Power, Ice Beam, and Sludge Wave hits everything on his team very, very hard. He only has one resistance or immunity to ground, that being the Gliscor, which I don't think will even come, so I feel like the Earth Power spam will be pretty good against him for sure, especially if he does not bring a true special wall counter to this. And if he doesn't, this thing really becomes really, really good against him in terms of a breaker to help the likes of my Azumarill and my Talonflame. So yeah, overall I think this is pretty darn good against him, and it kind of follows the same trend as the rest of my team in that I'm not allowing Volcarona a free setup, as I don't really have the best responses or counters to Volcarona per se. I have a lot of checks to it, but it's honestly just easier to deal with it if I just never let it set up in the first place. So that's kind of the game plan here with this team as well. Rock Slide on this prevents it. Obviously Braid Bird from Talonflame destroys it. Aqua Jet from Azumarill does a lot. Even if he's Posture Berry, he can't OHKO me with the +1 Giga Drain, so I'm in good shape anyways on that. And then the Latias is a guaranteed 2-hit KO on a max HP Volcarona with Psyshock, meaning I can pick it off regardless with the likes of my Talonflame or the likes of my Azumarill, or even Fake Out from Lopunny. Not a huge deal whatsoever. And then of course this final mon being the Ferrothorn, theoretically is kind of set up fodder for Volcarona. Sure, that's partially why I have Bulldoze on this set, but I also have Bulldoze just in case he decides to bring the Magnezone. I really don't think he will, but if he does, it's nice to have the Occa Berry and Bulldoze just to punish him for trying to trap me. And I might lose Ferrothorn in that situation. If I do, that kind of sucks, but then again, it's kind of okay because I would prefer he brings Magnezone than some of the other nuisances that he could bring on his team. As if he brings Magnezone, it means he doesn't bring either. I imagine it means he doesn't bring either Zygarde, Dog, Slowbro, Amoonguss, or Tapu Fini, and if any of those aren't there, it makes my sweeper's jobs a lot easier. So I'm okay with him bringing Magnezone, quite honestly, and I'm willing to take that risk and bring the Occa Berry Bulldoze just in case, also making sure Volcarona's speed is in check because Bulldoze always will decrease the speed of whatever it hits. Then I have Spikes for entry hazards, as again his only non-grounded Pokemon is the Gliscor. I don't think it's coming, therefore I do think Spikes are overall the better entry hazard than Stealth Rock, as net if I'm able to get up all the Spike layers, then it'll do more damage than Stealth Rock would, despite the fact that he has a Volcarona. I don't really think the Stealth Rocks are as important as Spikes would be in this matchup. Leech Seed so that I'm not just set up fodder for the Mega Scizor, as against the Mega Scizor I should be able to hard switch into my Lopunny and make sure I can beat it that way, or of course I still have the Talonflame, which certainly benefits from Leech Seed support, as much health as possible is nice on Talonflame because of how much recoil I tend to get from clicking Brave Bird and clicking the Flare Blitz button. So that's that. Power Whip hits a lot of stuff as well on his team, including the Slowbro and the Tapu Fini and the Tyranitar. So I guess one other thing to note on this, on the investment, the speed does allow me to outpace the Slowbro, especially. It also outspeeds the Amoonguss, but that's not really as important outside of getting up an extra layer of spikes. But it's still nice to outpace the Slowbro, as that means that I have a decent chance of being able to beat it 1v1 with the Occa Berry, as there's a pretty good chance I'll bring a fire coverage on his Slowbro, and if he does, that kind of sucks because that makes it really hard for me to deal with, but even so, Power Whip does a lot to Slowbro, and at the very worst, it'll be able to weaken into range of my offensive threats. So that's the team. I do feel pretty confident about the team, less so about the matchup itself, but I think in terms of how the matchup is, this team is about as good as I could have done, and I'm very happy with it going forward. So let's go ahead and take a look at the battle real quick, and let's take a look at team preview real quick. So as you can see, he pretty much brought all the stuff that we expected. He brought the Zygarde, Dog, the Tapu Fini, the Tyranitar, the Mega Scizor, Slowbro, and the Amoonguss. So first things first, pretty happy to not see the Sand Dog, the Stoutland, as that would have made my healing wishes a little bit more restricted, I guess, as I'd be more forced to always Healing Wish up the Ferrothorn or Healing Wish up my bulkier stuff like my Azumarill, just to make sure I'm not swept by that. But it's kind of nice not to see that here for sure. Also nice to not see the Volcarona, so that I'm not always pressured by the potential of a Quiver Dance, but even so, he did bring the double bulky water, which is pretty frustrating for my physical threats to deal with for sure. But fortunately, with the knockoff on my Azumarill, as well as really just general power coming from Nidoking, I feel like I should be able to wear them down and maybe win with Talonflame. That's obviously the goal, as I mentioned several times already, win with Talonflame, and it's definitely possible here. I was kind of hoping he wouldn't bring both Slowbro and Tyranitar, because then my Bug EMZ on the Talonflame can only be used on one of the two, so I'm trying to get rid of one of them before I try to limit Talonflame. That's also something going through my mind here at Team Preview, but you know, let's just go ahead and jump on into this, as my best lead here is definitely going to be the Azumarill, as I'm kind of expecting him to try to lead Tyranitar just to get up early rocks, as when you see the Talonflame, you're very inclined to get up rocks as early as possible, so I feel like he's going to lead with his T-Tar, and then Azumarill is definitely my best option there for sure, and even if he does lead T-Tar, I'm clicking knockoff turn 1 no matter what. So let's just jump on into this, as he actually decides to lead off with a Slowbro, which is pretty nice for me, honestly, as I'm kind of expecting this to be Rocky Helmet at this point, so knock up on this would be really, really nice, as he is going to actually switch into his Tapu Fini, which is very nice for me as well, as his only means of recovery is leftovers, so getting rid of those on turn 1 is pretty fantastic, to be honest, as now I know he has no way to really do damage to me. The most he can do is like 50% with the Nature's Madness, which is what he goes for, but I'm just going to fire off a Player Up, as that will put him about at 50% or so, I believe. Yeah, about 49%, which is in fact in range of a +2 Talonflame's Brave Bird, as well as in range of Fake Out plus Return for Mega Lopunny, I believe. So that's pretty nice for sure, as now he's going to switch into his Amoonguss, as I pull a double into my So what do I go into here? Going to my Ferrothorn. I'll speed it up a little bit. I had it on slow just because these turns are... there's a lot of double switches in this game. I'll say it's a very intense game, a lot of double switches, but we can go ahead and speed this up a little bit. We'll see how that goes. So I actually pull a switch into my Ferrothorn, just in case he wanted to... Let's see, what was I thinking on that? I pulled a switch into my Ferrothorn just in case he stayed in with Tapu Fini, but also thinking that there was a chance he might go into a Slowbro on that turn, which would allow me to get up potentially a free spike as he goes into a Sizzle, or maybe even just click on Power Whip in case he wants to stay in and Flamethrower me or Fire Blast. So even so, because he goes into his Amoonguss, I'm going to pull the switch into my Latias. I was very tempted to just set up a spike in its face, and in hindsight that might have been the better play, or it would have been more optimal, I guess. I still think my play was the best play, as he actually makes a very, very nice play on his end and goes into the Tyranitar expecting that. So my Latias is quote-unquote trapped, but I really don't care because my investment allows me to survive a pursuit no matter what his item, no matter what his set is, as long as he's not like Bandit or Life Orb. But it does just set up a Stealth Rocks, which means that my Latias is now pressured to defog later on, but not the end of the world, as I should be able to do that versus both the Slowbro and the Amoonguss. As now he reveals the Z Fire move, the Inferno Overdrive, and only does 50% to my Ferrothorn because of my Aqua Berry, which is pretty nice. But here, expecting him to potentially go for a Crunch, I was kind of scared to go into my Latias, even though I really wanted to go directly into Latias, as that'd be kind of hilarious to switch Latias into T-Tar. But I decided to go into my Nidoking instead, as it was more of a safe middle ground play. There's nothing he could really do to take me out from this range, so I did decide to just go to Nidoking. He goes for the Fire Blast. It does very little damage, as now I'm going to be able to fire off a very free Earth Power, as he reveals that this Slowbro is Assault Vest, max HP, max Spadef. So that's annoying. He definitely saw the Nidoking coming. I'm kind of wishing I brought more of a physical set with Thunder Punch, as that would have definitely been a little bit more effective here. But unfortunately, this is what it is, and we're going to definitely be forced to switch out here, as I don't want to lose my Nidoking quite yet. So here I'm going to pull the switch into my Lati, as this will allow me to get off a free defog, and with Tyranitar being so weakened, my entire team is actually able to deal with it from the range that it's at outside of the Ferrothorn, but it'll be hard-pressed for him to get Tyranitar in freely against Ferrothorn for sure, as I'm going to be able to fire out the defog as it goes into his T-Tar. This is essentially, I don't really know if I agree with this play. He could have definitely just gone Tapu Fini and preserved T-Tar, but regardless, I was able to take out the T-Tar here with the Draco Meteor, and we are off to a nice 6-5 early lead. As he goes into his Slowbro, I'm pretty much forced to switch into my Azumarill. He does get the crit here, which actually kind of sucks, because what this does is this means that I'm now guaranteed in range of Moonblast from Tapu Fini. So essentially I'm forced to go for Play Rough here. I'm also in range of a uninvested Psyshock due to the crit plus sand damage. So I'm in range of uninvested Psyshock from this thing. I'm also in range of Moonblast from Tapu Fini. Without the crit, I definitely was not in range of the Psyshock. I don't think I was in range of uninvested Moonblast either. I might be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure I was not, which means that I'm actually forced to click Play Rough here in this situation just in case he goes Tapu Fini, as I can't continue to switch into Tapu Fini over and over and over again. That's not something I really want to do, especially when it's been shown to be Nature's Madness Tapu Fini. So I am going to go ahead and click Play Rough on this turn, even though Knockoff was very, very, could have been the better play, especially because he actually went Amoonguss here, so it kind of sucks. I definitely wish I went Knockoff, because getting rid of the Rocky Helmet would have been really, really nice later on, as you'll see, but unfortunately, he does go Amoonguss, but I am going to go ahead and save my Azumarill, as I can still get off a Natural Good Fire or Healing Wish this thing back up later on, so that's pretty cool for sure. As now, I believe we enter a little bit of a interesting patch of the game, yeah, where Seb continues to, or my opponent TopTierBoy, we call him Seb, he continues to pivot between the Slowbro and the Tapu Fini. I guess he was just trying to wear down my Lati with, he's trying to catch me on switches and stuff. I really don't want to switch though, because Lati's already done his job. Rocks are no longer on the field. I can Healing Wish up anything I want. I kind of want to Healing Wish up the Azumarill at this point. I really want to Healing Wish up the Azumarill at this point, but I've got to find the right time to do so. And that right time needs to be in the face of the Slowbro. So here I go for the, as opposed to the Tapu Fini, as if I try to Healing Wish up the Azumarill in the face of Tapu Fini, I just get Nature's Madness again, and I really don't gain anything from it. So here I go for the Healing Wish, as I was weakened enough to where I was in range of Ice Beam. Unfortunately, I guess he kind of sniffed that out, and he goes into his Tapu Fini. So I have to heal up my Ferrothorn instead, which isn't the worst thing in the world, as Ferrothorn still is really nice to deal with the likes of his Zygarde for sure. As here, I expected the Nature's Madness, so I go into my Nidoking. I could have definitely gone, I definitely could have gone into something like my Ferrothorn, not my Ferrothorn, my Azumarill, just to assert dominance a little bit, but I really don't gain anything from doing that, but I did predict Nature's Madness. I just want to throw that out there. But anyways, I'm going to go for the Earth Power, knowing that this is really my opportunity to wear down the Slowbro and try to get myself in a nice position with Talonflame. So I do sack my Nidoking here after getting off 2 rounds of Earth Power damage, and I'll pause briefly on that. So on that turn 23, I definitely could have gone for Earth Power plus Sludge Wave, and if I had gone for Earth Power plus Sludge Wave, this Slowbro would have guaranteed been in range of Brave Bird for my Talonflame, I believe. I went for double Earth Power just in case he wanted to go into a Scizor, or just in case he wanted to go into Scizor or go into his Zygarde, as either way, I didn't want him to get free switch-ins into either of them. I don't know, it's interesting because due to the fact that I went for a double Earth Power, he's outside of range of Brave Bird as well as outside of range from U-Turn, which might actually have contributed to this next play. I'm not really sure. It'd be interesting to hear his thought process on that, but just continuing, here we're going to Talonflame. Now here is a 50-50 if I've ever seen one. So here's the situation. It's hard to know. It's hard to know if TopTierBoy will want to preserve this Slowbro here, as he's already been shown to have a Rocky Helmet Amoonguss, which has already shown to be a pretty good response to my Azumarill, and theoretically is a pretty good response to my Mega Lopunny as well. Okay, so he already has at least one solid defensive wall. My Nidoking is gone. This Slowbro is obviously designed to be excuse me. This Slowbro is obviously designed to be a counter to my Nidoking. There's no other reason to run this much SPDF investment on it. So there's that. He also still has the Tapu Fini, which I believe is sitting at like half health still. Yeah, 48.7%, so still at half health. I don't really think he needs to save his Slowbro, okay? My potential plays here were either to go straight for the SD, predicting him to preserve his Slowbro, and in doing so, it would mean that I essentially get at least 2 kills. I think I'd be guaranteed 2 kills in that situation, which would be really nice. If I got 2 kills here, I would be in the driver's seat, especially with Healing Wish in the back, as Talonflame will always be able to set up on the Mega Scizor. And if I set up twice in this game with Talonflame, basically at 2 lives, I win. Guaranteed. I guarantee I win that game. That's what I want to do so badly. That said, I really don't see him preserving Slowbro here, so I am actually just going to go straight for the Z move, as I do need to go for the Z move instead of just going for the Brave Bird here, which is where the going for Earth Power instead of Sludge Wave comes into play, so that might have been a misplay. I really just didn't want to give him the free switch into Zygarde, though. It just wasn't worth it, because if he gets a free switch into Zygarde, I lose a Pokemon. So it's a trade-off there, but I wasn't willing to risk it, and I am forced to go for the Savage Spin out here, expecting him to not try to preserve his Slowbro. Unfortunately, he actually preserves it and scouts out the Z move by going into the Tapu Fini. So good on him, honestly. That was a really good play on his part. Maybe he saw it coming, I'm not really sure, but I really didn't think he would try to preserve it. I guess it seems like he values his Slowbro more than his Tapu Fini, which does make sense considering the Tapu Fini no longer has leftovers, but it is what it is. I had to try there, and if I had gone for the SD, I would have been in an amazing position for sure, but it was a true 50-50, so what can you do? Now here, I'm going to go, I'll just start on turn 27. So he goes into a Scizor, and I'm able to go straight into my Talonflame, as unfortunately Flame Body does not quite activate. That would have been really, really nice there for sure. In fact, that would have put me in a really nice position as well if I was able to activate the Flame Body on that turn. But he goes into, I guess I'll back up and just see what the turn was that I missed there as I was talking about other things. I'm trying to scroll up. Computer, please. Come on, computer. Okay, we'll just back up. So, alright. We'll start from here. So I go for U-turn. I'm going to go, I believe, into my Ferrothorn as he goes for the Nature's Madness. I did not expect the Nature's Madness on that turn. If he had just gone for Nature's Madness versus my Talonflame, I could have done more damage to this thing. But it is what it is. He goes for Nature's Madness, and here I'm going to be able to just pull a double. I think I was expecting him to go into Amoonguss on that turn, which is a fair play. Yeah, I was expecting him to go into Amoonguss on that turn. So I go into my Azumarill trying to catch something with the Natural Gift, as I'm already getting weakened down, but it is what it is, as he does go for the Bullet Punch on my incoming Talonflame. Unfortunately, Flame Body does not activate that time around, but this does allow me to get out that free Swords Dance. Now here, here's a pretty obvious play. Click Brave Bird, and down goes the Tapu Fini. So now's where it gets interesting. So he's going to go into his Amoonguss. We'll pause, because I have a calculator to bring up. Alright, I think you can see this on the screen, so if you can't see it, it says 190.08. So that is the number that represents how much HP and recoil I'm going to take on this turn. Okay, so my Talonflame had 0 investment in HP. Rocky Helmet does is a 16.25 or something like that percent recoil. So I did the calculation there. I added to that the 33% recoil that I'm going to take from Brave Bird, and it just so turned out that the amount of recoil damage I was going to take on this turn was 191. So what this means, because I have 190.08 was the amount of recoil that I was going to take on this turn. And it just so happens that I was sitting at 191 HP. Okay, I was sitting at 191 HP with Talonflame at this point in time. And Pokemon rounds up, so I was guaranteed to die to this Brave Bird recoil, which really sucks because if he had gotten 1 HP less damage with Bullet Punch from Scizor, which was about a little over a mid-roll on his part, if I look back at the calc, he got, I believe, 1 or 2 rolls over the median roll, so obviously not hacks, I'm not claiming hacks at all, but I'm just saying, if he had gotten 1 HP less roll, then less of a roll with Bullet Punch, then I would not be in range of my own recoil here, and I'd be able to take out the Amoonguss without dying to this recoil. And let me tell you, if I did not die to this recoil, he still had the Scizor left, which if Scizor was ever going to get a kill, it would mean that Talonflame could set up again, as I was definitely Healing Wishing the Talonflame. There's no question. I would Healing Wish the Talonflame later on and set up versus Scizor and be able to probably win out, as Slowbro was very weakened at this point, and because of all my defense investment on this, there's no way that a Bandit Extreme Speed would be able to take me out unless it was his last Mon, in which case Ferrothorn would be able to win out. So I definitely feel like I would have won the game, or I would win the game 100% if Talonflame did not die to this recoil, but 1 HP, boys. 1 HP, boys and girls. 1 HP is what was the difference in that particular situation. So very unfortunate there. It's a double down. Now here, pause again. So here is a pretty interesting play. It comes down to a prediction game here as well. So here's what can happen. His most likely switch in here is going to be the Slowbro. And I think that's the case because of the Regenerator ability. He knows that Mega Lopunny looks like a threat right now. If I have Fire Punch, Mega Lopunny is a big threat to his team right now. So I think that he needs to go into Slowbro first, knowing that if I do go into my only thing to outpace the potential Zydog, being my Mega Lopunny, that he can just hard switch into his Mega Scizor, meaning that his Slowbro then is at very high health, and due to Slowbro's likely full coverage for the rest of my team because it's an Assault Vest variant, he should be able to win the game with a combination of Slowbro and the Zygarde. That's kind of what I'm expecting him to do, so I think he's going to go into Slowbro. What's my best play then? So my best play could be either to go into Lopunny, click Fake Out, and then click Return, and try to take out the Slowbro from the range that it's at. That said, he can easily, so easily, simply pivot from Slowbro into Scizor on the Fake Out or on the Return. And then he has a healthy Slowbro and a pretty strong Scizor staring me down, and he's in a really good position to win that way as well. So my best play 100% is to go into the Azumarill expecting the Slowbro. So that's exactly what I'll do here. I go Azumarill as he does indeed go Slowbro. Now, here's my options. I can click Knock Off. If I expect the Slowbro to stay in, I click Knock Off. If I expect him to go into Mega Scizor, which is what I expect, I click Natural Gift Fire here. And if I nail the Scizor with the Natural Gift Fire, what that means is that what I can do is he'll probably go into his, let's see, how would that work out? Yes. In that case, I would knock out the Mega Scizor there. He would probably go into his Zygarde, in which case what I can do is I can go direct, I can either sack, I think I would sack. Yes, I would sack. So what I would do in that case is I would sack my Azumarill, and then I would go into my Mega Lopunny, which would allow me to either revenge the dog or get off two... Yeah, that would allow me to get off a return with Mega Lopunny, probably 1 return with Mega Lopunny, as well as a Healing Wish into my Ferrothorn, which after the return damage... Actually, no, I could get off 2 returns. Mega Lopunny's at full health. I could get off 2 returns on the Slowbro, followed up by a Healing Wish, knowing that the Slowbro can't click Slack Off, and that will allow me to go into my Ferrothorn and, I believe, win the game, because there's no way the Regenerator health back on Slowbro will be able to allow him to survive the Power Whip from my Ferrothorn, which is designed to outspeed him, and there's no way that the Zygarde will be able to take me out from the range that I am at, as my Ferrothorn currently is sitting at 50.1%, and it would be 100% after the Healing Wish. So definitely, I feel like if I hit this Mega Scizor on this turn, I win the game. That's what I'm going for, and Seb is a god. Like, what can I say? He expected it, and he goes Zygarde, and I mean, I could have predicted that. I definitely could have. But the thing is, like, even if I predicted that and went for a player of, then what he's able to do is go hard into Scizor, which would essentially force me, and see if he goes hard Scizor, then I have to go Ferrothorn, click Leech Seed, and then I have to go into Mega Lopunny after that, hoping that he doesn't just go straight for a Superpower or a second Swords Dance. So my play was definitely Natural Good Fire there, and he sniffed it out. He really made the perfect play in that situation, as if he made the more obvious play and going into Mega Scizor, I think it would have won the game, but it is what it is, as he makes a really nice play there. I am going to go into my Ferrothorn, because he would lock himself into E-Speed. I'm able to set up the Leech Seed on the incoming Scizor, as now I'm going to be able to switch straight into my Mega Lopunny without fear. And just knowing that he's probably not going for Superpower there, as at +2 he theoretically wins the game, not knowing my defense investment on the Mega Lopunny. But now I'm going to be able to Mega Evolve, click Fake Out, and that, after the Leech Seed damage, will put him in guaranteed range of High Jump Kick, as it's already been shown to be a more offensive Mega Scizor. After the Fake Out damage, I do survive the Bullet Punch, and I will knock him out with a High Jump Kick, as now he's going to go into his into a Slowbro, as because I had to take that big Bullet Punch hit, I'm forced to Killing Wish now, knowing that I won't be able to get enough damage on it to be able to take out the Slowbro with a Power Whip, as now I'm going to go for the Power Whip, and essentially I have to hope he either doesn't have fire coverage, misses a Fire Blast, or gets a very, very low Flamethrower, because if he does get a very low Flamethrower, I actually am out of range of 1,000 arrows from the Zygarde, even if he's Choice Banded, and he'll be forced to click Earthquake. Even if he does have Earthquake, if he gets a low roll with the Flamethrower and a low roll with the Earthquake, I can win the game. Unfortunately, he crit the Flamethrower, so there goes those chances, right? And so we're going to lose our Ferrothorn after we take out the Slowbro, but the Zygarde will be able to eventually clean us up. So unfortunately, we lost again, and that sucks, but we did keep it really close, and quite honestly, considering the matchup, I am okay with that, especially considering that I put myself in the positions I needed to be able to win. And really full props to my opponent for really sniffing out my offensive traps, being the Z move on the Talonflame, as if I got rid of Slowbro on that turn, you saw what happened later on in the game. I think I would have been in a very good position to win with Talonflame later on in the game, especially if we didn't have the higher recoil from Scizor. It's tricky, but just or even win with Lopunny, honestly. If he didn't have the Slowbro anymore, I definitely could have won with Lopunny plus Ferrothorn. So it comes down to that play, very good play on my opponent's end, as well as the play of sniffing out my Natural Good Fire and going into Zygarde on an Azumarill. Who does that? Like, very good play on his end for sure. So I can't really be mad about that, honestly. It was a really good game for sure. So great game to my opponent's TopTierBoy. Remember, go check out his channel. He always has some very enjoyable content for sure. So definitely worth a look if you haven't checked him out before. As for us, we are 2-4, which kind of sucks, but we're not out of the woods. We're not out of it at all, as it's a hard league. My schedule's honestly been ridiculous early in the season, so while 4 wins obviously doesn't look good and doesn't feel good either, I still think that I can bring it back and make playoffs, as I'm only 1 game out of the playoff spot in my division, so that's definitely possible to achieve, especially considering I still play 2 of the people that are above me as well as 2 of the people that are below me, so especially if I pick up the wins that I need to win, as well as steal 1 or 2 games from the people above me, then I should be in a pretty good spot to make playoffs still. So definitely not out of it. Even though 2-4 looks bad, don't count me out yet. We'll definitely try to find a way to come back and make playoffs this season. So thanks for watching, guys. Sorry this is a day late. The battle just happened yesterday, honestly, so not my fault, I promise. But it's up now, so I hope you did enjoy, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next week against Shoddy and the Bayern Munich. Peace.